temple is we get rid of the illusion that the Europeans have put on us. Right, yeah, get that. One thing with the temple, one thing we try to do is, of course, get rid of all the illusion that the European had put on us through our schools, through social media, through all types of media outlets. And of course, the biggest one, which of course a lot of people know, is of course we know Christopher Columbus was not the first one here. It was we was here plenty of times, but now I just want to go in, which I've done before, I want to go in a little bit more details, because of course we know we follow up reading the prophets, and then when you understand what he brought us, and then you expand on his teachings, it opens up the door to so many things. Now, one thing I want to start off with, chapter 45, out the Moorish Holy Quran. This was, of course, it was divinely prepared by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Chapter 45, 1 through 6.
Islam.
Islam.
The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites, and the founders of the holy city of Mecca, the Egyptians, who were the Hammatites, and the direct descendants of Mizraim, the Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese, the Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites from the land of Canaan, the Asiatic nations and countries in North, South, and Central America, the Moorish Americans and Mexicans of North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America, Colombians, Nicaraguans, and the natives of San Salvador and Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. Islam?
Islam.
Now right there, a little bit, but he says a lot. Because pretty much just to sum it up, he said like North, South, Central America, he said all these Muslims. So now we got to look into this. Like, what does he mean by this? Again, like I said, we've done pretty demonstration, but we know that we've been here before Columbus. Well, we're just going to go in a little bit more on that. Because that's just an illusion that they still pushing, celebrate Columbus Day and putting up statues of him. And, you know, he's brought nothing but diseases and put us in, people who's over here in slavery. Islam?
Islam.
And really the slave trade, you know, a lot of us was being shipped over there to Europe and Africa. But, okay, so one of the things I want to go into, show how we've been here, because of course, you know, before we went to the Bible, we go into this and we can compare that. But one of the things that it's hard to debate is archaeology. Because sometimes you see a stone there, and you may be able to kind of debate the year, but there's a stone there, it's carving there, and that shows that we've been here. But I'm going to go into some of these things. There's an article I came across. Now, of course, he mentioned in South America in that chapter. Now, this is in South America, in Peru, up in the Andes Mountain. The place is called, hopefully I'm getting this right, Cuzco, C-U-Z-C-O. It's in Peru. It's about 13,000 feet. That's about 2.5 miles up. It's called Marcahuasi. That's Spanish. I looked up the meaning. I couldn't find the meaning. But here, which was a myriad of weird rock formations. A mystery stone of much longer documentary on this fascinating site upon which he was working. This is the brother Bill Cody. Of course, skeptics say that the wind shaped all these myriads of rock formations and often followed the maxim with some bromage, such as, it isn't just marvelous what nature can do. So now, give me a minute, I'm gonna show you some pictures, and now these people are supposed to be scientists, doctors, PhD, all this on their names, and these rock formations, they say that the wind did it. Nature did that. Well, you're gonna see what when I show you these pictures, what it looked like. Now, matter of fact, let me show you down so give you an idea, so you've been sitting up here wondering. I went to get these pictures printed up before temple. Place I went to, all 3 printers went down while I was trying to print. So pardon me, we got almost the old-fashioned way. Yeah, just show these, and I think swipe left like twice. But real quick, I just wanted to give you the idea. Now, when you see these pictures, these scientists said that, oh, no, the wind did this. Nature did this. As you can see, now this is stone in mountains in the Andes, about 2.5 miles up there. This carving is human faces. You got your nose, the bridge. So let's go in a little bit about what that's about. Now, Daniel Russo was a distinguished Peruvian researcher, and Bill Cody was able to film the last major interview with him. Dr. Russo studied them with his own meticulous methods for many years and became convinced that they are the remnants of an antediluvian civilization which existed in what he calls proto-history. And antediluvian, there's several definitions to it. Some would say like that's pre-flood, before the flood in the Bible. Some archaeologists say that there was a flood over there by the Black Sea and in between what we call the cradle of civilization, Tigris and Euphrates, about like 5,000 years ago. But also antediluvian means something ancient, old age. Others appreciate it. Others see them as eroded sculptures of many of the archetypes remanifested in post-diluvian ancient civilization. This is definitely something usually about these rocks, there is definitely something unusual about these rocks. These rock formations at other sites in Peru, in Romania, in Europe, and in France and elsewhere, but certainly not in every place where strange rock formations can be found. I don't want to bore you with all that, so let me skip down. So now what they're trying to say, like, there's no other way. Wherever you see a lot of rock formation, you don't see this stuff. So now right there, what I would say the illusions of what they're trying to do, these scientists trying to say, instead of admitting like, we was here before Columbus, they rather said, you see that rock, that big old rock up in the mountain that looks like a human face, the wind did it. Instead of just giving us our props.
You working, Mo?
Yeah, we're gonna keep on, appreciate it. But also at Makawasi and a few other places on Earth, through more so than anywhere else at the Peruvian site, which is the subject of this review, a number of phenomenons are very different from what may be found at Bryce Canyon or Monument Valley. Now that's a place in Southwest America. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, like you see like a rock formation, but somehow it looks like a bridge and all this and that. Now that could be a natural occurrence. So they trying to say there's similar things happening in Peru. First at Makawasi and other places is that there are vast numbers of these rock formations, all which, when seen during the same phase of daylight or moonlight, shown will reveal symbolic and human figures. So even though these rock figures, when you watch the shadow, depending on how it is, because sometimes with the pyramid, the way that the sun and moon line up, whatever, it will hit in certain spots, and of course you can see on the ground, like, that's a human face. But they still trying to say, no, it's nature. Nobody made this stuff. Let me fast forward here. Now a poor Yao, Y-A-O, what's that? Yao? Yes, Yao.
Yo.
Paul Yao? I like Yayo better, so no disrespect. A young Chinese American tycoon who is a friend had a look at Bill Cody's video recently, and he was born in Hong Kong and in the multilingual as well as fluent in Chinese literature and culture. He told me that one of the rocks that he found there, I ain't got to read this word for word. One of the rocks he found there, he looked at that, he's like, he showed him pictures of these things in Peru, and he was like, this same thing is over in China. Same rock formation. Now, that's kind of hard. You can't say it's the wind. So now that kind of proved that, our ancient culture, that we was all over the world. And of course, we was doing things before the Bronze Age, whatever, we was leaving stone carvings throughout the world.
Islam?
But I'm gonna get into a little bit, narrow it down. All right. Okay. All right. Now, this Chinese professor, in fact, everything depicted in the rock formations on Markowasi Plateau is untellably ancient, very probably way older than 12,000 BPE. BPE is before the present era. Is before the present era. And what they call BPE in January 1st, 1950, that's when they really started carbon dating. So they use that as a measuring stone. So when they say 12,000 BPE, they're trying to say 12,000 years going back, starting from 1950. But of course, this is just rough estimates. And of course, this article I found in the early 90s. So of course, I'm sure there's been updates to it. Yet particularly the form, presence, images, and archetypes ranging from the Chinese to what we would identify as early Egyptians, to Easter Island, to the Olmec period in Mexico. There's also figures representing nearly all races, as well as races and very probably symbols of archetypes that identifies of which remain unknown to us. So pretty much now, what they state in here is these figures represent nearly all the races, and these same rock formations, they say to go back to Egypt, to the first dynasty. They found the same thing. And of course, Easter Island, I remember we were watching the Godzilla, the Easter Island, them big stone heads, the big stone heads up there. It's like the similar things. Because that's one thing they always try to make like a mystery, like Easter Island, but obviously we was there. We was carving stones. And to this day, they don't know how we did it. And of course, they found similar stuff with the Olmecs. And you can go on the internet, you look up the Olmec heads. To this day, they don't know how these people carve these rocks. This is before metal tools. Now, a rock say found here, they found it that rock originally comes from like 60 miles away.
Wow.
Hold on here, let me get myself together here. Now, the reason I was just laying at the foundation. That was, of course, in Peru. And of course, I'm going to move a little bit further north. You heard of Tarshish? I know you did. Tarshish, it's in the Bible. It's in, oh, I thought you were raising your hand. Oh. It's in Genesis chapter 10, verse 4. We don't have to go to it, but pretty much that's the grandson of Noah. That's the son of Japheth, the grandson of Noah. But there's also a city in Andalusia, which is southern Spain. So, and of course, Tarshish, if you go out throughout the Bible, it's mentioned like 24 times. And of course, it's mentioned, first mentioned, of course, as a person, which is chiz. It means delightfulness in its original tongue. But then, of course, when you go to other parts of the Bible, it shows, like, it talk about a city way over there on the other side of the sea. It shows that they had silver, they was doing mining, they was bringing back a lot of jewelry, and they was doing trade over there at that time. And the reason I bring this up, because one of the things, because the prophet said that we was Canaanites. This was a Canaanite city over there in Lower Spain. And of course, this is before 711, we're going back to BC times. Matter of fact, going back around 500 BC. Now, the point is, this is the reason I'm bringing this up, because you got to understand, which I went into before, I'll probably go into again another time, that the Canaanites, we was all around the world. We wasn't just on a sailboat, and there's like a, like a cruise ship, whatever. We was putting in that work. Wherever we went, we set up a city, we set up shop, we started trade, fishing, business, like about the Murex fish.
Yeah, Islam.
We was in Spain, and then of course we was also over here in America. We're gonna get into this. Southwestern Spain, better known as Andalusia, around 500 BC, the Celts from the north took over the area. Now this is when, of course, I just mentioned they was in Lower Spain. The Celtics, the Celtics, they was up further up north, and of course they came down there and slowly they pushed the Phoenicians out. But there was a time they was mixing, intermingling. That's what cultures do. And what it is, long story short, the Canaanites, they had them working. They had them in the mines. They had them like, y'all go in the mines or whatever. Y'all pull out all these materials, and we gonna make that money off of you. Now, once they left out of there, here it says that there was no more Phoenicians in this part of Andalusia. However, inscriptions in America was found that go back to the same time.
Islam.
Now, what that means, obviously, you already dropped a hint that they was over here at the same time. The city built by the Phoenicians, which is Canaanites, was called Tarshish and referred to by name in the Old Testament. The Greeks called it the city of Tartessos, and from this name comes the word Tartesian, used by epigraphic, people who study the rocks and things like that, to describe the special script and dialect employed by the men of Tarshish. The alphabet has been deciphered in part by Spanish epigraphers, and most of the residual letters have been assigned their phonetic value and result of the discovery of the Tarshian inscriptions in Central and North America. So now right here, these professors know that, which, a lot of times they keep hidden. They letting you know, like, these rocks with these carvings and all this and that, this writings that's on it, it's the same as what the Canaanites, these Phoenicians was writing, what they was using over there. And they said they traced that back over here, going back to like 500 BC. Now the language can now be read with a relative ease, for it proves to be no more than a variant of Phoenicians. It shows that been here, and of course, like I said, Central and North America, going back to what we first read. How he said from North, South, Central America, all these are Muslims. So now I'm right there showing you how you can add on and build on to that. Like, what does he mean? We talking about all these are Muslims? Because now you can't look at it nowadays. You got to look at it in ancient times when we was ruling. We was ruling. And like I said, the Canaanites / Phoenicians was over here. And just to go into a little bit, in the prior demonstrations I did, even in New England, what they call New England now, there's a lot of carved stones and all that, but they said it traced back to the Druids and the Celtics when they came over here. Truth of the matter, and this right here was going into it, we was bringing the Celtics over here, pretty much as workers.
Islam.
We was like, come over here, we got a job for you. Take this little boat ride, set up shop over here, and of course we influenced them, so now they was able to build shrines, altars, just the way that we was doing it, because we educated them, because these Celts, they was dumb, deaf, and blind until they came into contact with us. And we brought them over here, and we had them doing, set up trade posts for fur, metals, and of course we was shipping it back overseas.
Islam.
And of course this is the Canaanites, or Phoenicians. Now, with the contact of the Celtics from who the metal was obtained, it is likely that the merchants of Tarshish may have been associated with the transatlantic migration of the Celtics who came to America. American Celtics was deliberately bought by the Phoenicians, who wanted mining communities to exploit American natural resources with whom they could trade with. So pretty much even before the Americans, that's how they learned. We've been doing it for thousands of years. But now, give a little bit more archaeology proof of how we've been here. There's this thing called the Born Stone. It was found over here. The Born Stone is a recording of the annexation of Massachusetts to Hanno. That's a person. When you look up Hanno, he was a Carthaginian navigator. Again, another Canaanite. And they found here on the rocks, they found inscriptions saying that he was here. And again, this is going back to BC time. And of course, he was known for explorer around the 6th and 5th century, known for exploring of West Africa. And of course, we have proof over here because they found it written in stone. I just want you to read this little piece real quick. This is part right here. Now this is when they talk about the born stone in part.
Islam.
Islam.
Like it or not, the colonial settlers of America were confronted with traces of cultural diffusion from the very beginning. The topics included black Indians, Muslim crescent ornaments.
Go too fast. It includes what now? Back it up.
The topics included black Indians, Muslim crescent ornaments, Welsh-speaking Indians, Melungeons, Moriscos from Spain, Indians with Caucasian appearances, religious elements similar to Christianity, legends that sounded like they had influences from prior Atlantic explorers, and numerous Native American words that appeared to be borrowed from Europe and Africa.
Appreciate you. Let's go back over that. Now, this is when they talk about they found this stone. Now, this is what they said. Let's go back over here. The topics include black Indians. Well, we know this. Black Indians. That's us. And they even said Muslim crescent ornaments that they found in New England. Well-speaking Indians, which of course, well-speaking Indians, that's the language that the Celtics would have been speaking. Showing that how that's more proof that they came over here and the people, the so-called natives over here kept the language. The Melungeons, which we've been talking about in a couple of weeks. Last couple of weeks. Right? I would see how this stuff all ties in,
it's
right?
long. You working more.
The Melungeons, like you said, the Morisco from Spain. Now, right there, if you remember the last couple of demonstrations ago, I talked about like Moors from Portugal. They came over here. They was in Brazil. And they came over here to the Americas. And now the Melungeons up in the Appalachian Mountains, even in the 1700s, they were like, yo, we are descendants of Moors. And they gave the description of them that he was tall, dark-skinned brothers, and then some of them was mixed. Of course, they mixed and intermingled. And the reason, what's the big thing about Melungeons? Because Abraham Lincoln was a Melungeon.
That's right.
Once we broke down the description of what these Melungeons look like over here, who we already traced it back to the Moors over there in Europe, and we can trace it back even further to the Phoenicians or go back to the Canaanites. We read the description of it, and Abraham Lincoln fits right in with it. Let me go into this. One of the first inscriptions, pardon, getting up there, man, my eyes starting to go. One of the first inscriptions noted and interpreted was the so-called born stone of West Cape Cod, whose lettering suggests that Carthaginian-type people writings with the Ibero-Punic script may have reached the New England coast as early as 475 BC. See, when they say Carthaginians, of course, Carthage was a city in North Africa. Of course, that was a Canaanite city. When they say talking about Iberia, they're talking about the Iberian Peninsula, which nowadays we would call Spain, Portugal. Of course, the Punic, of course, that was again from North Africa. All these scripts was found over here going back to like 500 BC. The Whitehall Fell collaboration was well accepted and occurred during the golden age of this research. Later, people with inferior translation abilities began to realize the limitation of the real-world epigraphy and voice their obvious conclusions that many interpretations of ancient writings were dubious and certain circumstances purposely manipulated. The inscriptions are nevertheless significant artifacts. So pretty much what they're trying to say, some of these scientists and all this was coming in, so I'm like, nah, that's not real, that's fake. They're trying to give all these answers of what it is, instead of telling the truth, that we've been here. Oh, pardon me. That's what I wanted to get into. Like I said, I'm throwing off, man. I have some pictures ready for you. I gotta, give me a second. Oh, I gotta go at the top. Now also one of these stones that they found here, I'll pass it around. It's you can pass that around real quick. You see at the top is a sun disk, and of course in the inscription, it's of course it's a sun, it's a crescent, and it has rays. And when you read in the inscriptions, it's of course like they talking about Amun Ra, which of course go back to Egypt, and they also mention Baal. Now, if you remember Baal, that was one of the deities that the Moabites worship, along with Chemosh. And of course, when we're going to before, but Baal, that was a lot of his attributes was absorbed and taken into what we call Yahweh now. Again, it's taking it back to even Yahweh, a lot of his attributes, whatever Yahweh just a combination of other deities all wrapped up in one. They just took the good and put the bad out, whatever, and took that. And again, this goes back to the land of Canaan, which was Canaanites. Islam. Yeah, well, it's the truth. We gotta speak the truth. Yeah, we definitely gotta speak the truth. Oh, well, I gotta show him too. And also, when he come back, I should have told you to flip through the pictures. Because there's another picture up there I want you to see. And again, going to show him proof that how we've been here. You see the one with the people? Yep, show him both of those. Right now, he's showing two pictures. They found also pottery over here, which of course lines up right along with the pottery that they found over there in Andalusia, which is in southern Spain. Now the thing about this, how they prove that this is Phoenicians, because of what's on their head. Now of course, and you're going to show, the brother going to show one of the pictures, you see they have like a conical hat that looks just like us, a little bit slimmer, and it says that this goes back to the Phoenicians. And of course, this was something that they used to wear. Hold on, let me get the proper thing here. The Phoenician at home and abroad retained his characteristic high crown hat. They call it the hennin. Pardon me. Got to get this zoom in. Called the hennin, worn on formal occasions. It is here illustrated by two terracotta figures, left and an American example excavated from a mound builder burial. Wait a minute. Modern technology, man. I like the old-fashioned paper right in front of me, man. Excavated from a mound builder burial. Right is a figurine from a Cyprus museum. Both figures date from 8th to 6th century BC for a comparison of the alphabets used by the Phoenician colonists in Iowa and in southern Spain. And of course, this is found with the mound builders. So now right here, they're taking this all the way in Iowa, not just on the East Coast, not the Northeast, all the way up and down the South, the North, South, and Central America. They find all these things that dates back to these Phoenicians, which of course is Canaanites. And now right there, they talk about how they found this from a mound builder burial. Now we already know, which I'm not going to go into this week, but I'm going into a little bit more. All throughout the Americas, from Canada all the way down to the Mexico, there's mounds all over the place.
It's long.
And people don't give them credit because these mounds it was us. It was our ancient people. We was here. And some of these mounds, the way they dug it, just the same as in West Africa. Just like the Pueblo, how you say it? Pueblo, appreciate it.
Pueblo.
The way that they built their houses in the side of the rocks, it's the same thing that they did in West Africa, showing that we've been here. We came here so many different ways, they don't know when the first time we got here. So all this myth, this nonsense. Watch it. All this nonsense about Christopher Columbus. Yeah, we've been here. So it shows how they use that technology on us. Yeah, how they promote it hard. Go back to Africa. Go back to Africa. To even our people, like, yeah, let's go back to Africa. Go back to Africa. Why? We here. We got archaeological proof showing that we've been here going back to almost 1000 BC that we've been here. This is our land. So when them Europeans talking about, yo, you gotta get out of here, go back to Africa, we gotta stand on our square, whatever. Like, no, you get out of here, man. We know where you came from. We know where you're beginning. They don't know where we began because we was already here making moves before they was even a thought. Just like now, you go to certain parts of Africa or whatever, and they see European, they looking at them like, wow, ooh, I've never seen nothing like that. That's what our ancestors was when they first popped up. But hold up, let me see. What time is it? Oh, okay. Get a little bit more archaeological proof, then I'll finish up. I ain't got to read it. But this is archaeological proof right here. It's showing that the Canaanites. You can go back to Mexico, the Los Nunes in caves. All this type of Canaanite scriptures was written. And alongside of them, a lot of it was Egyptians. And of course, Phoenicians. And when you line this up, whatever, supposedly this is right around the time when King Solomon's fleet was going around the world. You know, we always hear about that King Midas touch, that king that had all this gold and all this, and that was supposed to be about King Solomon. If you go into the scriptures, we go into Kings chapter 9, 1 Kings chapter 9, and in chapter 10, you see, just like how you broke down before, even when he was building his ship, he had to go to the king of the Canaanite city to get the people to show him how to do it and to get the material, which is called the cedar tree.
Islam.
Because then we done did the Nile so much that whatever that we found out that the cedar tree, this is gonna make that long voyage. So that shows how long we had to be going back, that trial and error. But I don't want to end up there because next week I want to go into some more about the mound builders and go into some more archaeological proof. So that's what I'm saying. We gotta understand our history, because if you don't know your history, they can tell you anything, man. It's like if you walking around in the dark and you can't see nothing, they can tell you, oh, the door's that way, make a left, go right. They can control you. Our job is we don't want them to be controlled. We want to stand in our own square, be like a man, and do our own thing. But if we can't do that, we don't know our history, Islam.
Islam.
That's why we gotta teach the children, we gotta teach the youth out here, whatever. So when they in school and they trying to indoctrinate them with this nonsense, whatever, they can stand on their square like, yo, this is crazy. And they can they know what the truth really is. Get rid of that illusion, which is just a lower self. We will pass away. And our job is to help this pass away, Islam.
Islam.
So for now, unfortunately that was a little short one, but I'm gonna finish up and go into some more next week. So with that, I say Islam and peace.
Islam. Peace.
And